All right, as is my custom, I'm going to make a video before I go to sleep while I'm in bed and post it. And this video is about the drug war. Um, and it's also about my disliker, who I think is the same guy that talked about crack in my video, which supported the legalization of cocaine, something that I do support. So the drug war was invented by top-tier racists. Nixon was the real origin of the drug war, but then it went on to Reagan and then Clinton, and it just got worse and worse. And people ended up lining up to go to prison. And then they crowded out the prisons. So they had to hire businesses to fill up independently contracted prisons. And then they filled those up. And then they started selling the health care of prisoners to different companies. And then those companies started to fail the prisoners when it came to their health care. And then all the lawsuits were covered up. And that's where we are today. That's the source of my wealth. That's why I have a 3D printer, because I had to sue the prisons. And I can't give you any details because I'm sworn to secrecy by my legal kung fu move, which is how corporations and the government gets away with this kind of thing. They put a privacy protection in place. So, that's what we do. That's what we do. But why is it then that regular people sign up? Because everybody has a reason to want to legalize the drug war. Because you want to get high. I mean, it's not that complicated, people. It's something that is human. It's normal to want to get high once and again. At least for your quinceañera, when a maiden turns 15, she needs to get high. Or your graduation, you have a couple of drinks on your graduation. And so we legalize the worst drugs. Nicotine kills, and it absolutely kills. There's no question about that. But it's legal, and we tax it a little extra, but we don't tax it so much that you have to bring it in. There's no nicotine cartel in America or in Central or South America. But in Europe, because they tax it more, some smugglers bring in cigarettes. It's a powerful drug. So is alcohol. So is caffeine. So is sugar. And I recognize I am a welfare king, and it's offensive. Like, you saw me eating a gigantic cake, and right now, I just watched a news report. People are lining up to get free food at these food checkout places. These shelters that provide food for people. Families are showing up because they don't have any food, and they're crying and they're begging for food because that's what their family needs. And the epidemic and our government has not given them enough help, and we just have hunger in America, the richest country on earth in all of history. So things aren't fair. So why is the drug war specifically unfair? Well, what the racists have done, and I mentioned Nixon and Reagan being top-tier racists, and Bill Clinton, what the racists have done is they've created a taboo about using drugs, specifically cocaine, marijuana, and heroin, and crack cocaine in particular. And so that taboo lets them legally arrest people just for doing drugs, nothing else. But just for owning drugs, owning a plant, owning some leaves of a plant. So they arrest you, and that's one part of the drug war. The other part is that then they let the people that make all the money off drugs get away with it because they buy their countries. So like Colombia has figured out its politics and it still is able to export cocaine. Mexico's exporting plenty of marijuana. And the cartels that do that then survive and grow more violent. And so the women and children and the men and the families that live in the places that the cartels operate then have to face the violence because the cartel is a mob. And the mob comes for your kids and tells you, no, that kid's going to fight for this mob and he's going to run drugs, he's going to smuggle them, or he's going to be a warrior for us, and otherwise we kill you. That's what we do here at the whatever cartel. And there are lots of cartels, and they kind of jangle about with each other and fight for this territory, that territory. And so then all those families, usually women and children, go up north because where is it peaceful? They can't go south. Like Guatemala is not safer than Mexico, unless it is. And then Costa Rica might be safer. But what are you going to do? Go to another country that also has a drug problem? And of course, in the United States, it's not safe because of the drug problem, because the cops and the people that use drugs are also violent. Economists have known for forever. Oh, this is an exhausting topic. But economists have always known that closed markets breed crime. And so then they get to our border and they want to immigrate as refugees. And they say, I think legitimately, hey, our lives are in danger. We don't want to go back to Ecuador right now because we're terrified. And so then what do the top tier racists do? They get everyone afraid of the immigrants. And they say, oh, they're coming with drugs across the border. Once it gets into our cities, then they want to defund the police. They are criminals and they kill and look, this one killed. And of course, someone from every group has killed. Of course. And I'm not justifying murder. What I'm saying is that we've created the circumstances under which there's a great deal of unnecessary suffering and a huge shackle upon our freedom. And once we created those circumstances, we've punished one another because of them. And we do this intentionally and with full awareness. And so all I'm doing this video for is to remind you there's nothing new about any of these thoughts. This has always been on the table, above the table. There are no secrets here. This is an intentional policy of the United States, and it is racist, and it has been racist since Nixon intentionally did it against hippies and blacks. And we know that. You can look at the quotes. So that's why people are woke, because the internet broke through the television set and managed to give you some actual information. And so we get mad. Can you blame us? I still want to snort legal cocaine. I want everybody to have to regulate and sign up for a license to snort a small amount of cocaine to experience it. Anyway, that's 10 minutes of me preaching, and I bet it gets like 2 dislikes and 1 like or something. But it's just true. Like, this is what we've created, and it sucks.